Okay.
Hello, my name is Gordon Fitzgerald. I'm with Caltex Funding, a mortgage company in DFW, and I'd like to introduce Justin today. We worked together a few years back on a VA mortgage, and we've stayed in touch since. How are you, Justin?
I'm doing good, Gordon. Definitely cannot complain about anything.
Good. When I say a few years back, it was actually 2017, right?
Uh, Time flies, but yeah, 2017 is about
We were
right.
just talking about that. The fact it's
Yeah.
almost 8 years now. So, what was going on when you purchased your house?
There was a lot. 2015, I got out of active duty, uh, moved down here to Texas to pursue UTI, which is an automotive school.
Okay.
Did that. We were renting a house for a little bit. And then during the time that we were looking at the house, Harvey hit. Luckily, during I guess, the brief dull in the storm,
Hmm.
we decided to come over here and actually look at the neighborhood to see what kind of effects the uh, the storm would have. Um,
I was gonna
Luckily, there
say,
was nothing.
I was gonna say the storm hit like 1 week before you closed, didn't it?
Yeah, yeah. There was no problems. There was no issues, and it's crazy because our cul-de-sac is right up against the bayou, so the water was pretty high. I mean, we could see it from the road, but it never crested. There was no damage to the house when we actually were able to walk in the house. Um, as we were rounding the cul-de-sac, the actual owner of the house came in to, I guess, do his inspection to see what was going on. And I introduced myself. I was like, "Yeah, I'm the one that put the offer in on the house." And he invited us in. We took our own private tour of the house with him. Um, the realtor wasn't too happy about that because apparently that's a unspoken rule that you weren't supposed to speak to the seller.
Okay.
So um, it turned out good. Everything worked out, and we pretty much proceeded with the signing of the paperwork.
Tell you what, I went right after the closing towards where your house was. Hurricane Harvey just about killed the neighborhood. I
Yeah,
remember there were actually walls that were moved. There were
yeah,
walls that were kind of almost caved in and stuff like that. And within a week, there were refrigerators and everything just out in every single front lawn. It wasn't like two or three houses. It was the entire neighborhood. But you guys were
yeah.
like a unicorn, right?
This house was a diamond in hiding. I mean, the first look when we walked through with the realtor, um, we saw it. We saw the potential in it. It was big. It was spacious. We had a big family that was coming in with us, so we had enough room to separate. Um,
Good.
yeah,
Well, I know I still remember that you called me the first time when you were driving. I was driving in from Conroe one night and I got the phone call and you said something about the fact you talked to several of the lenders before me, right?
yeah. Again, it goes back to this was our first house.
Okay.
We had really no idea what we were doing. We had a good friend that we both work. Well, you work with Rebecca, and that's my wife's childhood friend. Um, we were asking her just a bunch of questions, um, and then it finally just dawned. Once we get somebody that we can trust, because there was a lot of lenders that they weren't so helpful when it came to giving advice on certain things to do for a first time home
Okay.
buyer. There was a lot of like beating around the bush. Do this, do that. Our goal was to use the VA loan, and some of them just they didn't have the experience with the VA loan, or they were just so quick to oh, the VA loan will cover it,
Oh,
or the
yeah.
VA loan will, they were trying to put it all in to the VA loan will cover everything. They weren't trying to give us details. They weren't trying to really go the extra mile and help us out.
That's cool. Okay. So I still remember though that even at the closing, the seller tried to pull a fast one on you guys and tried to get you guys to pay some of the seller costs. Remember that?
Yeah, me and my wife were actually just talking about that. It wasn't right on my memory bank, but she remembers it clear as day.
Well, I remember
And
it too because we basically did a sit-in on that title company.
yeah, yeah. There was some fees that they were trying to throw on us, um, and it didn't add up to what the final cost that we wanted to put on the house.
Right.
Luckily, the owner of the house, stepped up and he's like, "I'll pay for it. You know, it's no issue for us." And he
Mhm.
pretty much covered a majority of a lot of the bills that are, and a lot of the money that we didn't have to get into the house.
Okay. Well, do you have any advice for people buying a house now, whether they're a first-time home buyer or even somebody with experience?
Uh, I know they have workshops. I know they have online uh, classes and everything that you can take. Ask even the smallest question that you might think is dumb because you just don't know the answer. Ask that question. And I think that's what it came down to with you was, and I don't know how many times I apologized and I was like, I just don't know these questions. We don't know these questions. And the the miles and miles that you went past what I thought anybody would do was beyond great.
Well,
The questions got answered, and it seemed like it was a repetitive question over and over again, but we were nervous. It was our first big purchase, and we wanted to make sure that,
that's the
we
thing. I
were
mean,
getting,
yeah. The thing
yeah.
is, the questions are important because you have them, and it's
Yep.
easier to ask them before closing than at closing. So that's important. What do you have anything specific for veterans?
Veterans would be, don't be afraid to do the VA loan.
Okay.
Um, there are a lot of realtors out there that are veteran friendly. Um, and if they're not, uh, the good mortgage and the good realtors, they'll take the extra effort and they'll do their research and help you out. But another thing would be, homeowners insurance.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, don't be scared of the insurance. It's a big plus when it comes to getting your first house.
I remember you were frustrated with all the junk mail after you closed. Aside from closing itself, you were frustrated with junk mail and homestead exemption stuff like that. I actually went
Yeah.
out. So, do you have any advice for people with junk mail, things like that?
The junk mail was it looked legit to us. And I think that was one of the issues that we were having is that we kept receiving mail that turned out to be junk mail, but it had our mortgage company on the header of the letter. And there was quite a bit that came in. And I think when we showed it to you, you were just straight up as like, that's not our stuff. It has nothing to do with us. It came down to them. I don't know if they were asking for some type of money or, something to do with the house from
Mhm.
the mortgage company that we didn't have any business dealing
Yeah, I
with.
remember one of them was the closing costs. They wanted you to pay for the homestead exemption, get the
Yeah.
homestead exemption, and the fact was that that's something that the title company does for you for free. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying is I actually used to bring right after we did yours, I started bringing junk mail to people's closings just so
Mhm.
they knew what to look for. But
Yeah.
when I moved up to Dallas Fort Worth area, I started collecting it again. So um last you had something really cool happen over the last year, right? Related to the
Oh yeah. Um,
VA.
that was a big surprise for all of us. I was sitting at 80% for a while, which helped us out with the taxes and everything like that, which is great. And putting further efforts into the VA, I actually got my 100% total and permanent.
Okay, now just so I know that a lot of people in VA understand this, for non-VA people, what you're talking about is 80% and 100%. What is that?
That's the percentage that the VA gives you based off of your injuries, based off of any type of service connected injuries. Um, Active duty helps you out a little bit when you're in, but the VA really steps up and they say, you put your life on the line. This is what it's worth for us. And that goes everything that you can see to stuff you can't see, mental health and everything like that.
Well, I will say that Harris County is one of the few counties that actually does pay for the property taxes for people, or they don't charge the property taxes for people who are fully disabled. Now,
Right.
you're not in a wheelchair or anything. 100% disabled still means you could probably kick my butt, but the uh, the fact is that there are certain things that you cannot do you used to be able to do, as I would say.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I had a guy who was a paratrooper. He tore his knees up jumping out of airplanes. So
Yeah.
same thing. He could walk around just fine, but don't ask him to play football.
Oh yeah. No. Those days are in the past.
Yeah, well, it's uh thank you for taking time to speak with me today. We closed on your house. You've been a great friend ever since, and we've kept in touch, but just
Yeah.
great that you're willing to do this for me. Thank you very much.
Oh, that's not a problem. I appreciate every extra step you took and every minute and every hour that you spent with us.
Hey, take care. You have a great day, okay?
All right, buddy. Thank you.